The following is brought to you in partnership by SIMBULL. SIMBULL is a new sports marketplace where you can trade shares of professional teams like stocks. You love sports. You interested in fantasy sports without the weekly annoyance of fantasy league upkeep? Then SIMBULL's the app for you. With SIMBULL, fantasy sports is going to a whole other level. How it works is simple. You buy SIMBULL shares for your favorite sim teams on the app. When your sim team wins, you get automatic cash deposits, and you don't lose any money when they lose. That's it. So if you follow trends across football, basketball, and baseball, and you think your team is a sleeper, simply invest in your favorite sim teams on SIMBULL and watch your virtual portfolio prove you right or wrong. And if you want to get in on the action right away, Vendetta Sports Media's got you covered. Go to SIMBULL.app/Vendetta and use our exclusive promo code Vendetta, and you'll get a $10 bonus when making your first deposit. SIMBULL, taking fantasy sports to a whole other level.
Today, I am joined by a fellow intern at Vendetta. She's one of the better baseball writers here. I would say probably top two. I don't even really have a list, but she's covering all the baseball stuff. She does game stories, features, does a whole bunch of stuff. Liz Valade, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So off the bat, we already have some sort of like rivalry, whether you know it or not. You're repping your Nationals hat. I'm a diehard Mets fan. So we actually have like a good fraction of the NL East covered in our company. So it'll be a fun season down the stretch, especially if things continue the way they're going. But so obviously we're gonna talk baseball. We're 1 week into the season. Some stuff has gone down. We'll use that. But why don't you tell everyone how you got to Vendetta, what you're doing, and like what your career aspirations are?
So I got to Vendetta. I applied for an internship last October. Started doing an internship for Vendetta as a sports content contributor. And then I took a semester off of college. So Trey was nice enough to allow me to come back when I picked up the semester again in school. I was in the military for 19 years. I got medically retired this past August, so I'm kind of an older intern. I'm looking and switching my career from being military to my aspiration is to become an MLB agent. So I'm working on my master's in sports management at Southern New Hampshire University.
It's awesome. Agents are just like, it's such a, I feel like it's just like the cream of the crop. For if you're not going to be picked with a team, you get to represent players, meet a bunch of cool people. It just sounds like an awesome career path to go on. So I wasn't really planning on asking this, but like Trey's pretty self-admittedly like strict and kind of out there, but how would you grade his leadership skills, qualities, similar to what you've seen in your 19 years experience? I don't even know that's a fair question, but
it is totally opposite from the military. Military is very micromanaged, whereas Vendetta is not. But that's the reason why I picked Vendetta, is because I have the ability to write about stuff that I'm interested in and not have somebody staring down my throat telling me what I need to do all the time.
Yeah, it is a nice place to be where like I don't know about how the interview process went down for you, but like within a matter of me emailing Trey for the first time, I was hired like 8 hours later as an intern, and we just kind of kept going. And like his advice has been like, just go and see what happens, and things have kind of just started going, and that's things have taken down different paths, but at the heart of it all, I'm a Mets fan. It's my number one. Baseball is my number one. The Mets, despite being just as bad as the Jets, probably hurt my heart a little bit less, even though this season is not getting off to the best start. So actually, I kind of just want to start there. I kind of alluded to how we're all NL East. Most of us are NL East people at the company. Specifically, I got the Mets, you got the Nats, and Andrew's got the Phillies, there's also Christian, who I had on the show last time, but what is happening in NL East, and are the Phillies legit? Because I very much think I underestimated them.
I underestimated the Phillies too, but I don't know if it's so much that we underestimated the Phillies or overestimated the Braves, to be honest. Because let's be honest, the Braves have 2 wins. They were against the replacements for the Nats. And Dave Martinez did a horrible job managing the doubleheaders, even though you have 9 players out due to COVID concerns. So we're literally, Jonathan Lucroy was signed 2 days before the season started, which we didn't even know when it was going to start. And then instead of trying to go for 1 win in a doubleheader, he mixed up the lineups. We had the stronger lineup with the weaker pitcher. And even then, the Braves tried to blow the first game of the doubleheader.
So, how do you feel about your manager? Are you a fan? Because I know he's been around. He's got the World Series shine on him still, and I don't know how long that takes to wear off. But like, as far as the Mets go, like I said, we're only like 4 or 5 games in, but a lot of people are coming for Luis Rojas. A lot of people don't like the decisions he's made already. I mean, opening day, he was tinkering with the lineup. You know, we didn't have Dom Smith in the lineup, and there was some lefty mumbo jumbo, but Kevin Pillar and Dom Smith hit lefties the same. What point? So how do you feel about Dave Martinez? You like him?
So I'm biased. I've known Dave Martinez since I was 12 years old when he was in Expo. So I'm a fan of him. I think that he is overthinking right now, though. But then again, it's hard to go from the team that went 19-31 to start a season to win a World Series, and then everybody has high expectations. And DC is a very hard town because the fans are fair weather. I've never seen more fair weather fans in my entire life. I'm biased, though. The Nats is the only DC team, and that's because I was an Expos fan. So other than that, I'm New York teams because I'm a New Yorker.
Probably like the only original Nationals fan from when they transferred down. They just got new fans, but no, you stuck with the franchise.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Well, so the Nats moved down here the year after I officially moved down here. So I claimed my team moved countries for me.
It's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice move by them. So yeah, I mean, you think it's the Braves? You think we overestimated the Braves, or you think so? How do you see the division shaking out now? That or I think I'm being extremely guilty of this, and I'll probably have to say this a few times over throughout the show. But is it way too early to be panicking?
I think it's too early to be panicking, and I still think we end up with 3 playoff teams out of the NL East, because I think the division is so even right now that when we face off against the other divisions, it'll start to show how much we're just beating up on each other.
Yeah, everyone's played each other so far. I mean, the Mets in the first 3 series would have played the Nationals, Phillies, and Marlins. It's all division opponents. Obviously, the National Series got postponed, but still. So they only take 1 out of 3 in Philly, and they probably won the game they should have lost on paper with Aaron Nola pitching. That's the game they ended up scratching out. All right. So I don't know how an easy way to transition to this, because part of me is going to take the Michael Conforto approach and just say a win is a win. But so we're recording this on Thursday. Mets played a 1:00 start, 2-2 bottom in the 9th, bases loaded. Michael Conforto not only does not move out of the way for an inside pitch, I would say he definitely leaned into it. Mets win. They don't review it. Bush League play by Conforto or no?
So I've always been a person who thought that's what I wanted to see. There's plenty of times where I'm like, man, just lean into it. And now that I've seen it, I'm not sure if I actually like it. But at the end of the day, a win is a win. And it's a rough one. At least it wasn't like the one that ruined Max Scherzer's perfect game.
Yeah, no, it definitely could have been worse for like historical standpoint, especially like the the Colorado perfect game as well. That got blown in with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth or the top of the ninth in Detroit all those years ago. And the umpire was crying. And the umpire for today's game already kind of made a statement or gave a note to the pool reporters that he knew he messed it up. But this, as much as you want to like call Conforto for leaning into it or doing what he did, a win is a win, first of all. Second of all, the MLB has to find a better way to review things like that, because if you can review a batter is hit by a pitch versus a foul ball, why can't you review if he moved in or out? And the Mets booth, which I personally love, Gary, Keith, and Ron, they're outstanding and pretty, I would say, pretty decent homers. Keith and Ron were both part of legendary Mets teams, so they immediately started ripping Conforto as well. It kind of left me with a weirdish taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've always been a person who thought it should have happened, but now I'm not so sure. It's hard. I think I would have been better if that wouldn't have been a strike. That ball was clearly a strike. If it would have been just an inside pitch, then it would have been a different. But when you lean into a strike to win a game, that's kind of a rough ending to it.
Almost the worst part about it was that the umpire initially, it looked like he was going to ring him up.
Yep.
He gave him the strike, and then he like threw his hands up, called dad, and pointed to the ball. First of all, I forgot Don Mattingly was even the manager of the Marlins. I feel like he will not be there anymore, because they were like probably maybe a batter or two earlier in the game, they showed the Marlins dugout and like where the manager would normally be, and it just didn't look like Don Mattingly. I don't know if it was because they had a mask on, what the deal was. I just figured with the changeover, they got the first female GM in the up in the shoes at the game today. I just figured that Mattingly probably wouldn't be there, but I guess it's hard to fire a coach who just brought you to the playoffs, albeit albeit an extended playoffs. But it's weird. I mean, I guess the National League is going to be a 4-team race, and that is not something I was expecting. A 3-team race is more or less what it was going to be. I really thought it was going to end up being, a Braves and Mets slugfest, and then I probably agree with you that there were going to be 3 NL East teams, but it was going to be the Mets and the Braves fighting for the top, and the Nationals most likely sneaking in that wild card slot. Now, who knows anymore, because people are getting hurt. We're still dealing with the COVID stuff. As much as we kind of wanted to push it back, we've really got like a rude awakening, especially Mets and Nationals fans, about how this was going to go. The whole first series was postponed. It felt like we were getting flashbacks to last April. No one knew what was going on. But yeah, is it, do you think, definitively the best division in baseball this year?
I think it's the best one by far.
All right. So best division, what's the worst division in baseball, you think, this year?
Worst division? I don't know. Part of me thinks it may be the AL East right now.
Looking at the standings right now, and Boston being 4-3 and Baltimore being 4-3, and those were literally the NL East, we thought were going to be the 4 and 5 team in the division. Yep. Now they're 1-2. I mean, it's pretty even. It's 4-3 to 2-4 is the difference between first and last. Obviously, we're being ignorant if we don't mention repeatedly that it's early in the season, but Boston comes out and gets swept 0-3, start 0-3, lose the home opener, the home series, and then they come out and that was the team we were expecting to see. Now they're 4-3. Baltimore 4-3. Like, what is that going to find its level, or are the Yankees just as bad as I hope they personally will be every year?
I don't know, but I'm really glad that I bought Baltimore on SIMBULL, because I picked them up as one of those, it's cheap, I'm going to pick it up and hope for a couple of years. And I'm like, oh man, it's paying off much sooner than I thought it would.
I haven't really ever talked about SIMBULL on this, but it's a cool idea where it's an awesome idea where you can invest in sports teams that you like or that you believe in and do things like that. And I pretty much only bought the Mets, and I shamelessly went over and collected my payout from today's win. Listen, it still counted as a payout. I didn't have to pay half of it or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean, fine. Listen, I don't think Baltimore would have been the team I threw any money in. I probably would have picked like a Milwaukee, or if I'm going to go with two team in that division, it probably would have been the Rays. But
I went with because it was cheap.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense.
When I bought it, it was only $17 a share.
What's it at now?
20 something.
There you go. It's returns stocks for you. All right. I kind of wanted to get your take on what you think is going on in Chicago. We'll start with the Cubs. Do you think David Ross is going to be a long-term manager there, or do you think this is going to be it for him as the team like kind of demises?
I think it's going to be it as the team demises. They haven't been doing so well for the past few years. All their core pieces have been rumored to be leaving. A lot of them have left already. I mean, Schwarber's on the Nats, and trust me, I was not a fan of that signing. And then I saw him in spring training and was like, oh, okay, I guess, because we picked up a lot of Cubs, and that's from Dave Martinez's connection there.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't see the Cubs performing like they need to perform for him to keep his job.
And especially with Theo leaving, Theo is kind of the guy that brought all those pieces together for that final, that 2016 push. He's gone. I don't know why, if I'm just being like super, super stupid, but I really deep down think that he's going to come to New York. I don't know why. We have a curse that he could break, not nearly as long, but like we have the richest owner in baseball. Just give him whatever he wants. Leave the MLB front office, or the whatever you want to call it, the MLB corporate office. Get your butt away from Rod Manfred's like stupid, horrible commissioner stink, and come lead an organization again. So I hope for that every single day. It'd be nice.
I don't agree with that, but that's because I'm an opposing team.
Yeah. I mean, it would not be fun for any team in the division if we had the richest owner in baseball and arguably the best baseball executive ever. That's a lethal combo for the rest of the league.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. It's the NL West. It's looking like it's going to be a two-team race. It kind of shook out that way early. It's the only division that's kind of played out to the way we thought it was going to be. Preseason, again, only a weekend. I know. Don't call me an idiot. But Dodgers 5-2. San Diego's 4-3. I do have to say this. I loved every second of Trevor Bauer having his no-hitter or whatever the hell he was having blown up and then giving up 4 earned runs in the following inning and jacking his ERA up. Just validates everything I said. He's overrated.
I like Trevor Bauer only because I like him. I like the fact that he says exactly what he's thinking. And I think that baseball needs to have a few more people who are outspoken like that. However, I do think he is overrated as a pitcher. I just like his attitude of not caring about shit.
I appreciate the not caring and speaking your mind, but there's a difference between doing it the way he does and then doing it with his vlog camera and like tormenting fans and like coming after people on Twitter. Like, I guess I didn't really truly figure out what was going on, but he tweeted at some girl like hundreds and hundreds of times because he disagreed with something she said about baseball. Like there is a line. The single image that stands out to me is after he pitched the spring training with one eye closed. He's giving his press conference with his vlog camera next to his head, and it's just like, you are not the guy I want trying to expand the game of baseball. Like, give me an Acuna, give me a Robles, give me a Soto. Like, give me people with like personality that aren't just like colossal.
I can agree with you there. I like the flamboyant because I'm a big fan of 80s style baseball. So he reminds me of that style is what it is.
Do you think the balls are actually deflated this year? Or not deflated, but like we're not talking Deflategate, but like, do you think they took the juice out of the ball or no? Because it's kind of seems like some of the balls that, off the bat, they're reacting like they would be gone, but they're kind of floating. I don't know.
From being at Nats opening day, the ball was flying. And even though they said they took some of the juice off, more balls exited the ballpark that day. Like, it seemed like it was a July hot summer day. I mean, there were 5 home runs in the first game, 4 of them off Max Scherzer, which was not good.
Tough for your boy. All right. How many stadiums have you been to? Just a random question.
How many stadiums? I've been to about 17 or 18.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna rank them at the end of the show. I have to do that because I've been to a good amount. We won't rank them. We'll do like our personal top fives or whatever the case may be. All right. So we kind of talked about the AL East. NL Central is kind of just like a snooze fest, other than the fact that the White Sox are under 500. I think that's just a new team adjusting to a new manager, a new chemistry, just like figure it out. I still think that might have been the most. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Young and adjusting to like an old school manager in La Russa who hasn't won over the clubhouse by any stretch of the imagination very quickly. It's not. I don't. Obviously, drinking and driving is like you're an asshole if you drink and drive. Like you're probably one of the worst people on earth, and that shit you can kill people for that. But like, if everyone knew, it's on Jerry Reinsdorf and the owners for for hiring that. Like, I'm not going to begrudge the guy for like he made a mistake. He shouldn't ever drive again, probably because he's old and they should have their license taken away to start with. But like, if you're gonna drink and drive, that's cool. Just like never. He's been an MLB manager. He doesn't ever need to drive a car again. The organization can drive him around, but like, I'm not going to begrudge him for trying to get a job again. That's on Jerry Reinsdorf, and not for not listening to or not talking to guys like his literally superstar shortstop and Tim Anderson, who has been very outspoken against like that type of like culture in baseball.
Yeah, agreed. I was shocked by the White Sox being under 500 at this point. But like we've said earlier, it's early in the season. I'm actually really surprised by how well the Royals are doing. And shout out to Michael A. Taylor. He is performing. And if it wasn't for some amazing heroics by the White Sox youngster, he would have been the player of the week last week.
Michael Taylor, you said?
Michael A. Taylor, yep. He used to be the Nats center fielder. And since I sit in center field, I'm a big fan of his.
So I don't know like how much you've talked about this, but I mean, you told us that you went to the game, you went to opening day or went to the opening series. What was that like? First of all, how cool was it being in a baseball stadium again? Because that's number one. And then second of all is like, what were like the protocols? How did the bathrooms work? Like, did it feel like normal or did it feel like you were kind of still living in like this weird, like bizarre world?
Oh, it was bizarro world, especially since the Nats only allow 5,000 people. Although it was really funny because our section, I sit in section 100, which is the red seats in center field, in front of the restaurant at Nats Park. If you've never been there, we're the best kept secret in that place. We have padded seats and a private bathroom. But
you just exposed yourselves.
I know, I'm putting it out there. But we always invite people to come and hang out with us. We have a Facebook group of all the fans, and we try to not let ticket scalpers get into our section. So we try to keep it. We'll trade tickets between us so that we have us as a group at the game instead of scalpers.
Gotcha.
So it's really cool how we do it. But it was really weird because you had to mobile order all your food and you'd use an app and you'd pick which restaurant you wanted. And then you have to go and wait in line to pick it up. There were only 5,000 fans. It was cool that the Nats raised the 2019 World Series banner again, doing it in front of fans. But you're so spread out and people wanted to clap and high five. You have that normal atmosphere. So it made it really weird with social distance pods.
So how many people were in your section? Like, did you have like, was it like, if you were someone that would not necessarily feel safe at like a gathering, would it something you would consider doing, or would you recommend, or like no, like it was?
Oh, it was so spaced out that, like I said, it was a pain to high five our friends, and of course in section 100 we had about 15 of us who were regular season ticket holders in that section. So of course we all wanted to run and high five each other, so that's what we did. So
yeah, I mean. Part of being at a ballpark, like hundreds and whatever, I don't want to say hundreds of thousand years, but like all like the hundreds and years of like stadium norms and cheering for your team, like it's hard to ignore that, especially in a moment like this where it's such a long build up. You know, the Mets was like over 550 days since they played in front of fans in Citi Field today, and it was just crazy.
Well, so the last time that the Nats had anyone in the ballpark was Game 5 of the World Series. Yep. And the Nats didn't win any of the home games. Luckily, I was in Houston, so I got to see the Nats win. So
You traveled to every game.
I don't travel to every game, but I travel to a lot of them. So I'm a donor member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. So the Hall of Fame actually got me tickets for Houston because when the Nats made the World Series, they called me up. They're like, "Do you need World Series tickets?" And I was like,
Heck yeah.
not for the Nationals games. I already had them, but and it hadn't been decided if they were playing the Yankees or the Astros yet. But I was like, but I'll take Astros or Yankees tickets. And they were like, "Oh, we got you." So one of those awesome things. But in the donor list, I'm literally the person who's right behind Alan Trammell. So
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. So I don't know. I don't know. I didn't even really ask you this before the show, but are you a gambling person? Do you dabble in that or no?
I don't bet on sports, but I am a gambling person. I've only bet on sports a few times. One time it was betting for the Giants to beat the Patriots when the Patriots were undefeated, and I had my identity stolen because I did it online. And the other time that I bet on sports was a Winky Wright Bernard Hopkins title fight, only because I was actually at the fight. It was my first time going to boxing, and I figured if I'm at boxing, I need to bet on it because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Damn, you pick the Giants to win that crazy upset, and then just don't even get your money. It's a shame. Well, now.
Oh, I got the money. I just had fraudulent charges on credit cards after that.
I don't know which is worse. Well, good thing gambling is becoming legal more and more places, so that does not happen. People get to do this stuff more often. However, for today, I have a few over/under totals for wins in the regular season. Obviously, these bets usually get placed before season starts, but screw it. I get to do what I want. So same numbers I gave Milo. If you listen to last week's episode, I did give my picks, but I'm gonna let Liz do hers, and we'll kind of go back and forth about where we disagree or where we differ. I'm sure there'll be some spots we disagree. All right, Braves 91.5 over under.
I'm going under right now with the way they're playing.
All right, I took the over. This was preseason, but like they have gotten better. They which is hard. Like you go from the NLCS to it doesn't necessarily get that much better, but they did take the offseason moves. They made sure they kept Ozuna, and they kept some like the heart of their team. But yeah, I went over. I probably would still take the over, but it is interesting. All right, Red Sox 80.5.
I'm going under on that one as well.
I'm all in on Alex Cora. Don't know why. I think that, and it's kind of like what I think they were trying to capture with David Ross in Boston, is that you have like baseball isn't managed anymore. It's all people from upstairs, the data people, like the Moneyball era, like
analytics.
Analytics. And I guess when it comes to that respect, like I'm an old school too, where I know that it's all there for a reason and it all serves a tremendous value to someone. However, I think a manager should be able to manage games, make their own decisions.
I agree with you right there.
Aaron Boone doesn't do it. He's probably the biggest example of like, he's just like, I don't want to call him a meathead, but he's just like a figurehead, goes out there, argues calls for his players, like backs his teams up, like answers questions to the media, but like he doesn't make any decisions. I don't think that's how, and that's kind of the way that most organizations are nowadays. But having a guy like Alex Cora as your rah-rah guy, someone that was, you won the World Series with, then all of a sudden he's gone. He's suspended from baseball. For not even something that he did with you guys. It just seems like a shit situation. And they are a team. I don't own them right now in SIMBULL, but they're someone to keep my eye on because like long-term success. I don't know how much I think Dombrowski's a decent front office guy. I'll say that. And if John Henry wants to win, that he's got the money to do it. So
yeah, I just think they're rebuilding right now. They traded away their core players, so now they need to rebuild. But
if it shakes out that they're in even like a sneeze of playoff contention, like they're gonna go all in. Like they're gonna do something. Yeah. They're gonna do something. they have to, especially now that LeBron's part of the ownership group.
Yeah.
All right. We kind of talked about this team a little bit. Cubs 78.5.
I'm gonna go over on that. I think they'll pull it off. They always seem to. I hate that about them. It seems like the Nats always end up playing them in the postseason too, and it never works out well for the Nats.
Luckily, my only encounter with the Cubs in the playoffs is a sweep. I think, yeah, it's a sweep. So that was fun in 2015. Just blew their doors off. I also went over. So did Milo. I guess as much as I kind of just talked about how David Ross is probably gone at the end of the year, that team has been around for a while. That core has been around for a while. I think at this point, the writing's on the wall. Everyone knows that there's probably going to be some separate ways after this, and they're going to they know how it's going down. It's no surprise to anyone, and they're just going to listen. I'm not saying they're going to win a World Series, but I could see them going all out and sneaking. It's probably one of the worst divisions in baseball. So actually, I take that back. They're not bad. It's a tough division. But like Cincinnati, no. Pittsburgh, no. St. Louis, if they didn't add Arenado, I'd say it would probably be a no. So it's a long season, 162 games. Have guys like Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant. They have Arrieta back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys that know what it's like to win. Who knows? All right. White Sox, 88.5.
I'm going over. I don't think they've hit their potential yet.
Yep. All on the same page on that one. I just think that they have to find their groove. It's a long season. They need to they're going to get in a groove. They have some great starting pitchers. They brought in Lance Lynn as like a guy who can stabilize that rotation. When it comes time for them to, shrink their rotation down to 4 and then comes 3, like they're going to have the best guys come, or one of the best groups of 3 come, late September, early playoff push.
So, I think Giolito is extremely underrated. I hated when the Nats got rid of him. I actually have all 4 of the bases from his major league debut at my house because I was that sold on him. I was like, oh, Cooperstown's going to want these. So I picked him up.
You're a diehard, huh?
Oh, I grew up 20 minutes away from Cooperstown, so baseball's been my life.
I'm from New York and I've never been to Cooperstown. It's like probably like my biggest kept secret as such a baseball fan I am. I just don't tell anyone, but like I just never have had a chance to go. It's like kind of far for me. It's like, I don't know, like 5-6 hours. And I'm not a museum
it's
guy.
Totally worth a trip. The one thing you got to do is a Hall of Fame induction weekend one time, and it's just amazing to sit there and do it. And so I actually have seats. So not that I ever actually sit in the seats that I'm assigned. We always barbecue and grill out and drink beers back on the berm, have fun celebrating with a bunch of friends from down here that all go up.
Sounds like you have a nice little baseball friend group. I'm a little envious of that. All my friends are Yankee fans, so like when it comes to baseball season, it's just like the most. This is kind of quick, but the most inconvenient part about where I live is that I live right on the Hudson River, and the train line goes from my hometown stop directly to Yankee Stadium. It's probably the best thing the Yankees ever did was that they literally have their own train station. Yankees 152nd Street or some shit like that. I don't know. And it is so easy to get to a Yankee game from where I am, and impossible to get to a Citi Field game. So brutal. I need a better subway system where I am. Not that.
I go.
Not that anyone
Citi
cares,
Field.
but
I take the train. I take Amtrak up to New York, and then we'll Uber to Citi Field.
Well, you take the Amtrak at the Penn Station, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So like from that side of the city, it's a lot easier to get in and out of there. How often do you come to Citi Field?
I usually do 1 or 2 series up in New York.
Maybe our paths will cross. All right. This is an interesting little case study. Astros 87.5. Milo did just kind of write an article he wrote the article today saying that they're good, like it or not. You buying into the Astros hype train? They're at 87.5.
As much as I don't want to say over, I'm going to pick the over on it. I wish the Astros would just get destroyed by everyone. I loved all the heckling that was happening by the Athletics. I think they deserve it. I'm glad that even though it's been 2 years, the fans are showing the lack of approval from the cheating scandal.
It would have been cool if the A's won a game or two, and that, like,
Yeah.
like, it's all cool, all funny games. You're throwing plastic garbage cans or on a field, but like win the game. That's a good start. Yeah. You're actually the only one that took the over. I took the under, and Milo took the under, which is ironic. But their pitching is just does not move the needle for me. Right now their run differential is already like ridiculously high. It's they're plus 27 runs, but so when you're hitting like that, your pitching doesn't really need to be as fantastic. But like that's going to catch up to you. Hitters going droughts, especially. That's another organization where it feels like, Correa knows that his time is done there. He made it clear that he's probably not. No, he wasn't really happy with the way their negotiations went down. He's probably going elsewhere. Altuve, how much can he do on his own? Not a great fielder when the pressure comes. He can hit, but he's short.
Yeah, he's shorter than me.
I always get a good laugh. I know it's like I'm like a dummy for laughing, but every time I see a picture of Jose Altuve and Aaron Judge standing next to each other, I have to get a good laugh out of it. All right, Dodgers 102.5.
I'm going
the big
under.
Number. Yeah, I took the under too. Of course, Milo took the over.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Milo's gonna go over on that. He
said
120.
He gave an official pick of 107. So I'll have to stick by him with that. But yeah, it's a lot of wins, especially when they play the Padres so many times.
Yep. I think the Padres are going to make that division a lot closer. In one of the podcasts with Milo, or not with Milo, with Dakota, he had asked me, and I was like, I think the Dodgers are going to win the division, but I think the Padres are going to make it a lot closer than everyone's expecting.
Our fallen friend, Dakota. All right. Next is the Mets, 90.5. I think you know where I stand, but you'd have a good idea of it inside the division. What are you thinking?
I think that will be an over. I think the Mets are a great team this year. I think minus not expecting Philly to do so well. I thought the Braves, the Mets, and the Nats were all going to be in the postseason.
Are you like a Nats are going to make the playoffs no matter what type of fan, or are you a realistic fan?
When we were 19 and 31, I purchased my postseason tickets. So I am a fan but I understand that reality. So I'm rooting for the Nats all the time, but I understand they may not make it. I still think this year they have a year. They had a pretty good off season. They picked up some key pieces that were needed, and the pitching is still there. Although Scherzer didn't look good in his debut, he never really does at the beginning of the season, though, either.
All right, I got two more. Then I do want to finish off with the Nationals. Yankees 95.5.
Under.
Yep, same page. Everyone's in the Yankee hate train this year. Their pitching already is brutal. Aaron Judge struck out so many times, so many times to count. Stanton, big moments. They don't do anything. Padres 94.5.
I'm gonna go under on that.
Ooh, you're the only one. Milo and I both went over.
I think that they're going to be probably a 91, 92. I think it's really close, but I'm going to go under on it.
Nationals.
Well, especially, but it's also biased now that Tatis is out. So
true. We didn't know that. Fair point. All right. Last one. Nationals 83.5. I think I know where you're going with this.
I'm going over on this. I think the Nats are a 90 win team.
We all took the over. Yeah. What did they do though that you think that they got better in the postseason? Because if you tell me it's just Kyle Schwarber,
no,
I will show you the video of that guy falling over in left field multiple times and say you can't win in the playoffs with him.
No, I think picking up Josh Bell was a huge addition. The biggest question right now for the Nats is third base. Everyone thought that Carter Kieboom would be up, but he's up right now because of COVID, but he's not an everyday third baseman. I fully expect the Nats to try and make some sort of move for that. But the outfield is stacked. Robles is doing a great job leading off, which is something that the Nats have never had. They've always had Trey Turner in that leadoff spot. But having people that can get on base in front of Juan Soto makes it easier. And they gave Soto protection by picking up a big bat and Josh Bell. And Zimmerman was lights out this spring training. For a guy who hates spring training and took a year off, he was hitting home runs every other at bat, it seemed like, in spring training.
So he got his first hit of the year the other day. The Nationals Twitter account made like a huge big stink about it. Like Mr. National. I don't know. It's like, for me, with him specifically, it's like the him and David Wright rivalry or like friendship. Like they grew up together. They came up together. God, I really don't want to say this, but like, okay, so Christian had David Wright in his Mets Mount Rushmore. As much as I loved him and like admired him as a player, I don't think he is a top 4 player in Mets history.
I don't think he's a top 4 player, but I would say he's top 10 easy.
Oh, 100% top 10. He's probably number 5.
Yeah, I was going to say he's probably my number 5 man.
You have to switch him and DeGrom. DeGrom is already ahead of him. All right, Christian, I'm adding this and putting you on Twitter. Wrong. Okay, few things I do want to. I keep saying few things, but all right. Baseball has implemented finally their new stupid rules, and like finally we're really, really seeing it. This year specifically, it's the extra inning. Runner starts on second base. That burned the Yankees opening day. It's gonna keep burning teams all year. You hate it or love it?
I'm not a fan of it. I think you've made it that far in a game. You should keep playing the same rules that you've been playing by. I don't care. I'm not a person who thinks that the game of baseball needs to be sped up. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. Don't ruin my game.
Okay. See, now I kind of disagree with you. Baseball does need to be sped up. Only because, and like I said, I'm an old school guy. I love baseball. I like small ball. I like, as much as I love the home runs and the strikeouts, like I like baseball, and that includes doubles and strategical. No DH. That shit is. I mean,
yeah,
the no DH in the National. You like the DH or don't like?
No,
it?
I do not like the DH. National League rules, small ball all the way.
I had to watch Taijuan Walker ground into a double play with the base loaded in the bottom of the third today. I do not want to see pitchers hit. Why? I don't see a value in it outside of like a few cool home runs. Like the Mets pitchers are probably benefited the most from not having that, honestly, because they all seemingly can hit. DeGrom's hit home runs, Syndergaard's hit home runs, Bartolo Colon hit the home run heard around the world. Yeah. And I said this with Christian, but if that home run did not happen, I think that National League has a designated hitter already. All right, so we're super disagree, but I do want to go back. So runner on the second, and then also the 3 batter rule.
I do like the 3 batter rule.
I agree.
Although it that helps speed up the game because there's fewer pitching changes. But it changes the game because you don't have the specialists like you used to have the lefty specialist that would come in the bullpen. So it kind of gets rid of some people's jobs.
The first one I remember is Pedro Feliciano, lefty from the Mets, used to come in, face Ryan Howard a lot. God, I hated those Philly teams. Yeah, I mean, it sucks for guys that have come up in a system and in like in organizations where that is a valued position, like specifically Jerry Blevins. He doesn't really have a spot in the team this year. Meanwhile, he's been one of the Mets' best relievers for the past, 3-4 years, where he just doesn't really have a spot in the bullpen anymore. You rather have a guy that can get lefties and righties out as opposed to just one or the other. Bullpen, the Mets bullpen is a whole other story that's I could literally rant for an hour about. I will not do that. I promise. Yeah, I mean, my thing is I think it's so hard because part of me likes the Trevor Bauer, like advocating to grow the game and expand the game because like it or not, baseball, I think, kind of is dying. The way that they've built the blackout rules, and you can't really watch it. The national media coverage, and it's a tough game to fix because it's a tough like sport to fix. There's so many games. It's like games kind of matter so little, and everyone I think pretty much unanimously agrees it goes playoff hockey, then playoff baseball, and then everything else after that until you get to like conference championship week in the NFL. So everyone knows that baseball is great, but why can't we just keep it going a little bit, keep kids entertained? Like, I'm not saying throw it on Nickelodeon like we did for the Chicago Bears, but we got to do something to keep kids engaged because, I know where I'm from. Like, the Little League programs are dying. Like, people aren't watching baseball. People aren't baseball fans. Like, what do we do?
Oh, I have no idea. I personally try to take all my friends' kids to baseball games. That's the reason I have 4 seats for just me. And it's because I bring friends and family, my friends' kids, my coworkers' kids. I take them to as many games as possible. It's really nice because I know a lot of the players at this point, and so I can get them toss-ups, and it's those little things. Like, I remember my most fun experience was when I was a little kid. I grew up in upstate New York, so I grew up with the Albany Colony Yankees. So it was Deion Sanders was playing baseball, but I remember sitting through a 4-hour rainout, and this guy came up and sat in the stands behind my family, and he was like, "What are you guys still doing here after a 4-hour rain delay?" My mom told him, she was like, "Well, there's only one other family here, so if a home run or a foul ball gets hit, we got a 50-50 chance of getting a ball." So of course, no home runs or no foul balls are hit. So this guy's like, "Hey, stay here for a minute." So he runs down to the dugout and he grabs 2 of the game balls and gives them to my brother and I. And I remember his name. His name was Chris Marshock. He never made it to the bigs, but just that little interaction made me a huge baseball fan.
I have a few similar stories. Like, I didn't know you were from New York, but like, ever heard of the Hudson Valley Bluefish or the
Oh yeah.
Hudson Valley Renegades, and then there's some Bridgeport Bluefish, maybe. I forget the naming, but yeah, I would go to Renegade games all the time with my dad. Just like minor league or like low level baseball, as much as like the baseball itself is not as great. Like, it's a fun experience to be with. Like, it's great for like camps and shit like that. It's fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, we're gonna do this one thing rapid fire, and then we have to get our baseball draft in, our baseball stadium draft. Winners, NL East, NL Central, NL West, and then who's going to the World Series of the National League. And I know the answer is Nats and Nats. So
No, I'm not. I'm not that. I think NL East. As much as I don't want to say it, I think your Mets are going to win it.
love to hear
it. NL Central, I think St. Louis is going to pull it off. They usually do. And then I have the Dodgers for the NL West.
So who comes out? Who's playing in the World? Well, we'll finish the AL. We'll do the AL East now, or AL East, AL Central, AL West.
AL East, I did think it was going to be Tampa Bay, but I don't know now. I have no idea. I think the AL East is horrible this year. So I'll take a long shot. I'll go with Toronto and the Youngins. I think they get it together, pull it off.
The Youngins, I like that. All right, the Central.
Central, I think it's going to be the White Sox.
Yeah. And the West.
Unfortunately, the Astros.
I was really hoping it was going to be the A's. Then they started the season abysmally, and I was like, oh God, like, this is what happens when you don't pay people. Like, you live in this Moneyball era. All right. World Series matchup, World Series champion. Go.
World Series matchup, White Sox versus the Mets.
Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. Tell me you got my Metsies winning the whole thing.
No, I don't. I have the White Sox winning it all.
Couldn't be that easy. Couldn't be that easy. Tony La Russa, huh? You buying into him?
I love the talent that they have. I think that they're gonna click here in another 2 weeks, and they're just going to start destroying baseball. Also, another stock that I purchased on SIMBULL.
Listen, SIMBULL's great where you can just put your money where your mouth is. Just like you believe in a team, like you don't have to place a future, you know, you don't have to be like, all right, like they're gonna win the World Series this year. I don't maybe necessarily believe that, but like I believe they're undervalued for what they are. All right. I Since you're a baseball stadium connoisseur like myself, I think I've been to 22, maybe. Of course, I've missed some of like the best ones, so it's hard for me to say. Like I haven't been to Fenway and I haven't been to Wrigley, which
I
is
haven't been to Wrigley, but I have been to Fenway.
I've done the entire NL West. I think most of the NL Central except the Cubs. All right, let's just do this first. You we'll just draft it. Build best stadium board. You go first. We'll go snake draft style. I'll go 1, 2, 3. Back to you. And then there we go.
I actually think Oriole Park at Camden Yards is a great stadium.
It is awesome. It really is. As much as the Orioles suck, it's a beautiful stadium. They did a good job there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It has the old school field and the new school feel to it. So it's kind of like perfect.
My number 1 overall draft pick, no question, Petco Park. It was one of my favorite places to go as a kid. I only went once, but fun fact about that place is I don't know if it's still there, but they used to have like a sandbox pit out in like left center or something. I was in there before the game. They were doing batting practice, all that fun stuff. Home run comes in there. Must have been like 9 or 10, and some old man like literally full blown jumped on top of me in a sand pit to get the ball.
I've
Brutal.
never been to Petco, but I have a trip planned for this July. One of my best friends just moved out there, so I already told her. I was like, hey, your birthday, my baseball team happens to be out there, so I'm coming to visit.
What a coincidence. God, this is gonna be a tough one. I think my number 2 is gonna be part of me wants to say the pitch where the Pirates play, and part of me PNC, and the other part of me wants to take Citizens Bank, but I think I'm gonna have to go with screw that. I'm going with AT&T, San Francisco. I think that's what it's still called, AT&T Park.
I've never been there.
San Fran, like the Cove in the background, just like the Pepsi or Coke bottle. I think it's a Coke bottle out in left center. Like great stadium, great atmosphere. I was going when the Giants were good, so I went when the Giants were good, so it's a little bit different, but yeah.
My number 2, I would actually say, is Busch Stadium, St. Louis. I see a pattern in how I like the old school, new school feel of baseball stadiums, apparently.
All right, you get 2 and 3 in this round.
Then I would do guaranteed rate field. I love the White Sox Stadium.
Guaranteed
rate. The food there is phenomenal too.
Interesting. That's one of the ones I don't think I've been to. All right, 3. I'm going Citizens Bank. I don't know why. Something about that place really stood out to me. I have another one. Shish. All right, so I'm gonna do Citizens Bank, and then I will do Dodger Stadium. Old school feel, like they still have the blue little like wavy things out and right. Cool stadium, a lot of foul territory.
Yep, Dodger Stadium was next on my list too, actually.
All right, now you got 4 or 5 to close it out.
So Dodger Stadium's my 4, and number 5, I got to go with my Nats.
Yeah, I figured it is a nice park.
I'm
pretty sure I was there opening weekend. I could be wrong, but I guess for my number 5, I'm gonna have to put in City as well. I was there for first game there before they fixed their seating arrangements, and I literally sat in the last row of the stadium and could not see the field. It was behind the out of town scoreboard. They had like small TVs like the size of my laptop, like 50 feet in front of you on like the back of it. Couldn't see the game. One of the worst experiences I've ever been to, but I was at Citi Field. I do want to say this, and we'll wrap this up. I appreciate you coming on for sticking around for so long. Number one, the worst stadium without a doubt is Tampa Bay.
Oh,
The
agreed,
Trop is the
100%.
worst place in the world. It was like a dark, like it's like a kids museum, like it's like a wannabe aquarium. They have shit painted in like the corridors. Like worst one I've ever been a part of.
Oh, agreed.
You've been to the Marlins Park?
No, I was supposed to go and then ended up having a flight get canceled and didn't make the game. So
It is it's a cool stadium. The little like thingy out in the statue, the segment, whatever the hell that thing, the moving parts is. I think it's gone now, but it it's cool. It's a cool stadium to be at in person. Obviously, there was literally no one there, so you could hear yourself talk, but it's cool. It's a cool stadium. All right, Liz, why don't you tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter? And I'm gonna link some of your blogs down below so you can get to know you as a writer a little bit.
I'm at 91 Valade. That's V as in Victor, ALAD as in dog, E.
I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for this edition of Kriegs Korner. Make sure you guys are watching on YouTube. If you like the video, subscribe on YouTube, do all that fun stuff. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.